Hey, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first session of our training. Then we can go ahead with starting. All right. So would like to quickly revise, by the way. So if you are not there in the demo session also, let me spend 2-3 minutes of time and let me quickly revise that what we have discussed in our last session. So we understood that, okay, so there used to be different teams, by the way. Um, there used to be different teams which used to work for releasing the web-based application, right? So first of all, even before to that, even I was talking something else also. What is that? So I talked about something called as a business. I mentioned, hey, there is a business and business is giving the job, right? Now business is giving a certain job, and what are those jobs, by the way, we mentioned. So we are actually making a web-based applications, right? We're making a web-based applications, and these web-based applications, uh, these web-based applications, uh, we need to release, by the way. And there used to be a different teams, by the way, so which is involved in. There are many teams, which is okay, many teams in waterfall. This is what we have seen. Okay, so earlier in waterfall model, there used to be many teams who used to do this. Now actually, so there is a, I can say, like, so single team in Agile, which is actually doing this particular job, right? So you can understand that. So what these guys are actually doing, these guys, okay, so roles and responsibilities are, okay, quite simple. This guys actually yesterday we talked about, so ensure they release the software smoothly. And once the app is also in live, ensure it is running without any issues. So these are the two responsibilities of an engineer who is working in this area of releasing the software, by the way. Okay. So this is what we discussed, and yesterday these 2 points we were mentioning. Okay. So that's where now whatever we learning we do, by the way, so everything should be pointing to these two roles only, end of the day. Now we'll start the journey here. Our mind map will start the journey here. By end of the training, again, we'll route back to the same points. Okay. After all our learnings, we'll check that, are we ensuring the software is releasing smoothly? Are we ensuring our app is actually running without any issues? So today we're going to start our journey towards this. Okay, but end of the training, we'll again close the journey to here only. Okay, so that means here one more. So both the things. Now ensure the software is released smoothly. Now where do we release? Right? Where do we release? That is the question. And also ensure the app is running smoothly. Where is it running? Where do you release and where is it running? Correct? And where do you think it might be running? Ideally in some servers, isn't it? So you're accessing, now let's say this mirror.com is some sort of a web application. Now this should be running somewhere. Okay. So this application is running in some machine and we are accessing it. It's as simple as that. Now where this could be running? Okay. And while it is running, the Miro team has to ensure the availability of this particular service also. Okay. Now that means they need to ensure wherever it is actually running, they have to ensure this doesn't have any issues. Now, where does these runs is usually on servers. So where does it run? It runs on servers. End of the day, something will run on some server, right? And when you think about servers, Okay, so what is this server? A server is nothing but is not a big deal. I mean, like server is a box, by the way. Like server is basically um, is a physical box only. End of the day, you will have a data center. Okay, so what is this server? So there is a data center buildings like this. Okay, so mm, let me go. Outside it's just a building, by the way. It's not a big deal. Just like any other building. Okay, so like any other building, you have something, right? So here, no such. Like let's consider any other building. That's okay. Now this server is a simple a a building, by the way. Inside this particular building, okay. Now, in order to organize, by the way, so what they will do is they will keep the servers in a proper way. Okay, so they keep the servers in a proper structure, proper order like this. Okay, so they are going to maintain these servers. I think this is the best example. Okay, so this is inside this. What we are going to keep over here is we are going to keep all the servers inside this like this. Okay, so this is a data center building. This is a data center building, and this is a this is all servers in rack. We call it as servers in rack. I mean, it's just simply a rack only. It's not a big deal. Um, s- like again, whenever you keep your items organized in racks, here the servers are organized in racks, and that's where it is called as a rack server. Okay, so the servers which is actually runs inside the data center, those are rack servers, as simple as that. Okay, these are called as rack servers that will just insert into that particular rack. So people will just insert into that particular rack, and this is called as a rack server. Okay, now your servers are rack servers. All right. Right, this is what it is. Our roles and responsibilities tells that we release our software smoothly to the machines, which is servers, by the way. And while we do that, so we need to understand what are those servers, and those servers are a rack servers that has been kept in the rack, and these racks generally in the data center, by the way. And companies will have their own data centers, but maybe we're talking about cloud. Okay, you don't actually so deal with any of this particular layer. Okay, now cloud is actually, if you go to a cloud, so the cloud is going to take care of all these particular things. Cloud takes care of all these layers. Okay, you don't bother about maintaining the data center. You don't need to bother about the racks. You don't need to bother about so which rack server and all. You ask for a machine and you get a server. Okay, so what we do is we'll ask for that there's a machine, we need a machine, and we get a machine. That is how it's as simple as that. So the cloud takes off all these particular layers. Okay, and so that's how you just ask for a server, you get the server. All right, so in cloud you are going to do that. So what is cloud and all, we'll talk about that bit later. So but let's continue with the same line. I just want to give some context, maybe whoever is kind of a new here, so they might understand. Otherwise, for some people it might be boring. So just bear with me for few minutes. So now let's once again revise. So there is a business involved, by the way. So where the revenue is getting generated, and that revenue is basically about web-based applications. People make web-based applications. They're running their business on web-based applications, and there used to be many teams in the waterfall model, and now there is a single team. Yesterday we were seeing that. So how that particular single team has been doing this, and your roles and responsibilities is ensure you release the software smoothly and ensure you run the application without any issues. But in order to run smoothly or ensure, where is it running, by the way? So it runs on servers. And where do you get the servers from? Either from your own data center, if your company is running your own data center, or you are going to take it from a cloud and you get it from a cloud vendor. Okay, you get the servers. Cool. So the next is what we're going to do here is this. I mean, server is fine, by the way. So now the servers are basically, when we actually talk about servers, those are all virtual servers today. Okay. So mostly those are virtual servers. Okay. That means one physical server. Now here, whatever the rack he's keeping inside, right? That is a physical server. Inside this physical server, you can run many virtual machines, by the way. So for optimizing the resources. Today's world, when we talk about a server, it's a virtual server only. In cloud, if you go and take a server, it's going to be a virtual server. You can also take a physical servers as well from cloud, but it's a huge cost. Like unless until it is really needed, you don't need to go for that. It's all going to be a virtual server. So that's what we need to understand. These are all going to be a virtual server. Virtual server means, now let's say you have a Windows desktop. Now you want to run some Linux, by the way, you install some virtual software and you create a virtual machine and you install a operating system on top of that. Okay, a VM we call it up, right? So that is where it is. So this virtual server, now we call it up in a different names. So we can call it VM. We can now call that as it itself is a server. Okay, we can also call it as a server. Okay, when you say a server means it itself is this one. Now if I say machine, okay, these are all going and pointing to the same way only. Okay, a virtual machine. Unless until we use a physical word we use a word physical, it never pointing to the physical server. Okay, whether we call it as a VM, we call it as a server, we call it as a machine, we call it as a node. Okay, these are all different languages people uses. Don't confuse. Okay, so we call with anything, by the way, but end goal is that is a virtual machine. So in these particular servers, when we talk about, those are virtual servers, and these servers should run with an operating system. So that's where even roadmap.sh is actually trying to tell here is. So we'll talk with the Python one day. So let's understand first an operating system and deal with that. Now here there are different operating systems. So Unix and Linux. Okay, Unix is no more too much in the market, by the way. It's all dead tech, by the way. And however, now it is all Linux. When you come with the Linux, so there is a Ubuntu and Red Hat. Those are two derivatives, two operating systems, which are widely used, by the way. Ubuntu and RHEL. All right. Now we need to choose one of that because there are two purple colors, by the way. So I need to choose one of it. But I don't know what to choose, right? So basically, when I say I don't know means like now let's assume we're in a situation we have to choose. We don't know what to choose. And probably some market insights may be better for us to understand. Okay. So that's where I would like to, maybe let me try to ask a ChatGPT which can hold some information here. So which is maybe I'm hoping some answer. Let's see what it will tell. So which Linux distribution is most widely used in corporate and enterprise world? So you can see this, the answer is simple. The widely used Linux distributions for corporate and enterprise world are typically Red Hat machines. And its free counterpart is CentOS. Both are same, by the way. But yeah, so CentOS as a community, so they take the Linux machines, Linux operating system, and then they convert that into a free operating system, and they will provide it by the way. So this is what it is. And there are other distributions as well, by the way. So like SUSE and Ubuntu. And not only these, by the way, there are many, by the way. Okay. Now, if you just go to the internet and type like Linux distribution list, you type it, you'll get one Wikipedia page. If you go with the list of Linux distributions, now you see this diagram, not even think about visible. Many lines, by the way. If you click on this, I am zooming it now. Now you see this, there's a Slackware, which is one Linux distribution, and it has many child operating systems. Now here, Debian as a company, so it has many operating systems. Out of this, Ubuntu is one of that. Okay. Now coming down, so there is a Red Hat, by the way. Okay. So Red Hat as a company, so they have an operating system. They started, you see this, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And people will copy here. Okay, you see this is what I'm talking. Maybe it is not too much visible to you. Okay, and this people will copy, by the way. So if you heard about something called as Oracle Linux, okay, that is also a copy from Red Hat. So they take the copy from Red Hat, okay, and so they are going to release that. So there are many people like that. Now you have Amazon Linux also in Amazon Cloud, AWS Cloud. You have different vendors take the copy of Red Hat and they can redistribute it as their own operating system. Okay, so this is how so the market works, by the way. And there are pros and cons of that as well. I think after Red Hat has been acquired by IBM, I think now they are actually keeping certain policies around that you cannot copy and things like that, because they're seeing the people are copying their operating system and potentially becoming competitors to them. And I think they were trying to do something around it. That's okay, but does not really matter to us. So we wanted to run Red Hat, and the free version of Red Hat, which is which is um, CentOS, by the way. Okay, you learn Red Hat, you are learning CentOS. You learn Oracle, you are nothing but running Red Hat only. You learn Amazon Linux, you are nothing but learning Red Hat only. Okay, these are all the copied operating systems of that. So there is no problem. So which is fine. But when you go with the CentOS, okay, operating system. Now, if I would like to go with the wiki, so now let's go with the CentOS of wiki page. Now, what they're telling is here. I think this is completely getting the wiki down. So there is there are three there are versions, by the way. The current version, major version is 7 CentOS 7, by the way. So and also 8.2.1.1, and which both will getting into end of life by this page should come better. Okay. So now here, that's okay. But the current major version is 7 2009 and 2.11. Both will get end of life in both got end of life already in 2021. Okay. Now after Red Hat acquisition, so they renamed CentOS 8 as CentOS Stream, and that will be supported till May 2024 only. That means I think this year by May, 8 also is getting completed, whereas 9 is the one which is supported till 2027. So that means the current major version which is available out there is Red Hat 9, and their free version CentOS 9 is also be there. So that means, so we need to go with the latest version, which is having a support for further years, by the way. So in the organizations also, whoever uses this version, so they have to upgrade to the next versions. Otherwise, they are not going to get any support. They are getting into a risk of not getting any support. If it is a CentOS, even though it is a free operating system, at least you have a community support. Okay, small companies and all will use this CentOS. Big companies may go and buy the Red Hat, and they eventually will get the permission, support from Red Hat directly. Not permission, support directly from Red Hat. That's okay. Whoever can't purchase it, so they might go with this and they bear with the community, and they spend that licensing amount on some good engineers who can fix the work, who can do and fix the work. Okay, these are all different methods of how do they organize it. That's okay. This is how they are doing it. Now, the operating system, whatever we choose is maybe 8 is ending by 8 is ending the or 8 is actually ending. So we need to eventually think about something which is an operating system. What we are actually going to run here is there are different operating systems, and we are choosing is CentOS 9. We can go with the Red Hat 9 also. Both are same like I was mentioning, and no problem actually. We can go with any of the one. That's okay. CentOS is fine. All right. So this is what it is. Now that's where this is a Linux operating system, CentOS 9. Now I think many of you are new to Linux. By the way, you need to learn Linux, and many of you might be not might be by the way, you were new to Windows and you learned Windows desktop operating system, right? It's an operating system only, like that's it. And here is also an operating system. So don't imagine too much big about the Linux, by the way. That is the first problem that people will do. Over imagination. Okay, which is a problem. It is a simple operating system, and it is even easier than Windows, by the way. Windows and all, you always need to use mouse and all, you get hand pain. Okay, but here Linux, it is very easy, by the way. Okay, so you can do a more professional work. It's a professional operating system. You can do the work more professionally. Okay, I'm telling you, so mark my words, over a period of time, maybe 1 year, 2 year down the line, you will start feeling, Windows is a very difficult operating system that you have been doing all the time, and Linux is a very easy operating system. Maybe for the starting, you always had your mindset towards Windows, and you feel like, so seeing the graphical UI and all, you feel like that is a good operating system, but not really. Okay, so a black and white screen is much, much powerful than the UI thing, by the way. But okay, the purposes are different. This is a desktop operating system, that's a server operating system. So end of the day, so we want to learn some learn some Linux, and we're choosing a operating system which is CentOS 9. And if you go with some other operating system like Ubuntu family, yes, there will be some differences. And the end of the day, you know a requirement. Okay, those particular differences you can always manage it as well. Now, if anytime you got an opportunity in your organization, maybe let's say in the worst case that you need to go with Ubuntu, you can go with Ubuntu, no problem. There won't be much differences, by the way. There are, you're doing in one manner in CentOS, you will do another manner in Ubuntu. Does not really matter. Okay. All right. So that's the first part I would like to talk today. And if any questions, please go ahead. But just quickly, let me quickly revise if anyone has joined a little bit late. So yesterday we were talking about some business is giving some job to us, and that business is making of web-based applications, in the organizations. So what we are actually getting here is a job, and so that particular web-based applications, earlier you used to do with the waterfall methodology. There used to be many teams. Now it is a single team who is doing that, and that's where okay. So this particular single team roles and responsibilities is, which is DevOps engineer, ensure the software is released smoothly, and ensure the app is running without any issues. That's what we discussed yesterday. And today, I know we're telling that, so those will be pointing to where do you release the software and where do you running it is actually in a server. And these servers are actually, sits in a data center building, and within the data center, you're going to have the racks like this. Okay. And there's a list of racks. Actually, you're going to keep one server, which is called as a rack server, which is called as a physical server. And the cloud actually is not going to let us look into all these areas. They provide directly. You ask for a server, they'll provide it. End of the day, setup is like this only, but managed by cloud. And that's where these servers, when we talk about these servers, are mostly virtual machines, not the physical machines. Now the here this guy, whatever is keeping inside the rack is a physical machine, but inside this particular physical machine, you're actually going to run multiple virtual machines. Okay, so when you talk about a server, it's always, most of the time, 99.999% in today's world, it is a virtual machine, not a physical machine. Okay, and we run some operating system on top of that, so that's where we are choosing CentOS 9 is the latest operating system, and our learning also start from CentOS 9. That was the point. Yeah, any questions, please go ahead.
Hey Raghu, like maybe it's a dumb question.
Yeah.
If we are using cloud, right? We
Mhm.
are wearing cloud virtual machines. In that also, like we choose to, like we need to choose the operating system, and they provide these operating systems.
Correct, correct, of course.
Okay, so like they'll also charge for the operating system based on the operating system we choose.
Yes, CentOS is free. That's where there won't be any charges for operating system, whereas the charge is only for virtual machine.
Oh, okay, okay. Like even they can use CentOS or RHEL.
If you use RHEL, you have to pay for software also.
Oh, okay, but like there is a possibility to use a CentOS there.
Yeah, we use CentOS only. That's where I written CentOS only.
Oh, okay, okay. Not really at the enterprise level, I'm asking.
Enterprise also, I think, see, if you have a good engineer who can manage, they can go with CentOS. Or enterprise, if really talking about they go into the cloud,
Hmm.
I mean, Amazon is providing again the copy of Red Hat again as Amazon Linux. We'll choose Amazon Linux there.
Okay.
Now, okay, we are actually picking up the roadmap here. Now I
Hmm.
had to go with these lines since
Hmm.
I'm saying that I'm inspiring the content from here. And this guy is not giving that. Anyhow, he's giving derivatives only. But still, anything is fine. So, but don't worry too much. Both are same.
No, like just wanted to understand the
Right.
bigger picture
If you go
here.
with Amazon Linux, you get a support for free of cost again in enterprise.
Okay. Okay. So like each cloud has their own derivatives?
No, Amazon has its own.
Okay. Not a GCP and Azure or
Yeah,
Oracle.
GCP and Azure, I have not seen it so far.
Okay. Got it.
Generally, we use Amazon Linux and Ubuntu in AWS, right? So,
Not really.
no, okay. I I mean, most of the people say they use Ubuntu. Is it not?
See, that's where this question will come. That's where I went to ChatGPT only, right?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
asked for it.
So,
I went
I
to
mean, in
chat.
YouTube also, everybody uses Amazon or Ubuntu to teach. Is it?
That's what now
I mean,
it's
in
your
enterprise
wiseness to
level.
choose, right? So whether you trust a individual person or you
Mhm.
trust a tools like ChatGPT, which has a massive information and providing the things, right?
Yeah.
So I've asked like, so which is the operating system which is used? Where is this?
So for cloud engineers also, I mean, as a cloud engineer, you use CentOS more than RHEL
Don't
or
get into
Ubuntu.
that bias, by the way. That's what I'm telling. Whether you use Amazon
Okay.
Linux, CentOS is all copy of Red Hat only.
Red Hat only.
Either
Okay.
you use
Only
Amazon
minor.
Linux or CentOS, both are same only. End of the day, just the
Okay.
logo change. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but otherwise, enterprise prefer to go with a Red Hat. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
End of the day, but since we get the support for free of cost
Mm.
in cloud, by the
Then,
way, if it is Amazon, we'll choose Amazon Linux only. So the answer is yes.
okay.
I'll not say no, by the way. And again, I already covered this particular point. So saying that, hey, this guy is actually giving Linux derivatives any guy. And we want to make it course a little bit generic also sometimes. And I'm going with CentOS. But end of the
Mm.
day, both are same. That's what I'm claiming, right? So both are same.
Okay.
You go with
Yeah.
Amazon
Okay.
Linux or CentOS
So
Linux.
when we are taking instance and then we are deploying, we will use CentOS there.
Yeah.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
I'm not able to hear you, Banu.
Hey sir, this is my first class.
Mhm.
I missed the demo and I'm starting. I think class was started at 6 o'clock.
Correct.
Did I get recording sections in YouTube?
You already got it, right? So you got a link. If you have seen it properly, you have the recording.
What?
You already have the recordings from the link which you joined.
Recording sections?
No, how did you join this session?
Yesterday, I saw one section in YouTube channel.
Okay, let's do one thing. Okay, so if you
Okay.
have any question related to this current topic, you talk about it. Otherwise, please park your question to end of the session, just in the interest of time.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So whoever is first time joined today, so the links, whatever you open has an information saying that this is the recording, okay, of yesterday's demo, or just in the name of recording. If you click on that, you'll get it. Okay. Yeah, sorry. And okay, and also let's make this exercise generally. Let's stick to the current topics if you have any, and if you have out of context or any program related things, we'll generally take it at the ending, by the way. Okay. So at least for a couple of days, after that, everything will sort out. That's fine. Yes, Kumar.
Hey Raghu, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey Raghu, Ashish here. So I was wondering how different is DevOps thing compared to the SRE?
Again, current topic.
Oh, this my bad. Oh, I thought this is totally different.
I'll
And
answer you. Just let's park this.
sure.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi Raghu. So you were mentioning about the Red Hat, and in the map I couldn't see the CentOS. So just to make sure, Red Hat and CentOS both are different uh, operating languages, right? For the Linux. On the map, I did not see the.
Okay. It is there. It's a very big map, right? So you may not be able to catch it. So there is a Red Hat here. And if I search for CentOS, you can see this CentOS is somewhere copy of Red Hat.
Okay, my question is, so in the Red Hat RHEL, okay, CentOS runs in the Red Hat, right? Or is it both different?
CentOS is a copy of Red Hat. Every operating system. So now here Red Hat is there. Now the line is moving from here means someone has copied from here.
Okay, okay, okay. Oh, that's why the companies give that free.
No, there is a license actually. Red Hat tells is okay. So you can take my source code and you can change some EULA end user license agreement and all, and you can redistribute it
Okay.
for free. CentOS as a community which comes in and does that particular job. Yes, after CentOS take over the copy of Red Hat, they provide it for free.
Okay, okay, got you.
Yeah, it's a community, and again, community also you need a bread and butter, right? So those are also people, they need salary and all. Again, Red Hat only will give them.
Okay, okay. It's related to Red Hat, but it's like a branch of it.
It's a branch of it, correct? Right word.
Okay, got you.
Not exactly considered as a branch, by the way. You can consider as a branch is also a right word, but still a copy is a right word I would prefer to use.
Okay, okay. And now I got the picture. I thought both are different or how it works, because before when you showed the map, only I saw the RHEL and Ubuntu and those on the map, but I couldn't see the CentOS. I was a little bit Googling and searching for it.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's all.
All right. Cool. Any other questions before proceeding?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. I wanted to ask one question regarding yesterday's, but
If it is
you
technical,
said
go ahead.
only stick to it's kind let me wrap up in one sentence, but if you are okay, but that's fine. So my question is, you are saying that DevOps came into existence in 2007 or something, right? So before they used to use before always we have like the developer and the tester, and the more problems are coming and DevOps came into existence. But as you are in that field, I just wanted to have one word like from you.
Yeah,
How,
we'll
if you
take it
see
up at the
from now,
ending. Sorry to interrupt you. We'll take it at the
okay,
end.
okay, got you.
Cool. So the next one over here is okay, now we know the operating system, by the way. So now ultimately we need this operating system to practice, isn't it? And so that is where you need an operating system to practice, and that is where we will be going with, okay, taking this particular machine, by the way, but I don't want you to, okay, install it anywhere in your local system and do that. Okay, so ultimately we're going to get into the cloud and do this. Okay, we'll go to the cloud, and on our cloud it is AWS. We'll go with the AWS and deal with that. All right. So that's where every one of you need to sign up for AWS account. So after this session, we'll send you those details in the same links, whatever you are joining the sessions. We'll publish this information there. Please just do follow those particular things and create a AWS account. As a very simple sign up. YouTube has enough videos also if you really follow that. So, but anyhow, we'll provide our own as well. Okay. So just try to sign up. Every one of you need to sign up for your own AWS account. Okay. But today we're not going to start with AWS because every one of you needs sign up AWS account for your practice later. I mean, after the session. And anyhow, and the second thing is, so they take some times for some people also, like 1 day, 2 days to activate your account also. And that's where, so let's first 1 or 2 days, we'll spend our time, okay, learning the CentOS operating system from a different portal, by the way, where they provide CentOS just on the web UI, by the way. So we'll just take it up and we'll learn some. While we're learning some Linux, by the way. I mean, 1 or 2 days after we need a requirement of needing a cloud machine, and we'll go and take the cloud machine or cloud server directly from the cloud, and we will try to use it, by the way. But until then, who can help me here? Okay, who is giving that CentOS machine for free of cost on the web browser directly? I can use it. No need of installing in our local system, by the way. Okay. So that is where, okay, so there is a website called as Killer Coda will come into picture. So Killer Coda is a learning platform. Okay. And I think some of you might have been encountered with this particular web page, at least if you have done some certifications from some people. So they provide certification courses also here. Okay, for practical purpose, they're providing it here. So these are the things. Now, I also hosted a Linux course here. We'll simply use that particular one. Or else just 1 or 2 days, or maybe just for today also even. So I know to really go with this one, and I can go with CentOS. And I doubt actually you have CentOS here and directly. And what is this guy telling is an Ansible thing. And this is the one, cloud native DevSecOps. Okay, so you're getting different without explanation. I think I'll better go with mine only. Okay. All right. So there is my URL, by the way, so which is hosted as like this, and we'll send you this particular URL again. So, and I hosted 2 courses here. So just for a couple of days for our learning, by the way. So the first one is calling is as Linux basics. Rather than basics, I would call it as Linux introduction commands or Linux general commands. Okay, let's not consider as a basics when I say that, basic and advanced. Don't go on to that wording. when I mentioned as a basics, by the way, it's the bare minimum things that you should know about any operating system. So if you have a Windows operating system, what do you do, by the way? Forget about you don't have internet. Forget about you don't have entertainment, right? And what do you do with your machine? Think about it, okay? You have a Windows machine, no internet, no entertainment. That means no games, no movies, nothing like that. Now, what do you do with the Windows machine? Probably some work, by the way. So maybe you create some documents as per your job, by the way. You create some document, your requirement, basically. You create some documents and manage those particular documents, right? You generally manage content and things like that, right? But when internet comes into picture, maybe you download some softwares, you install some softwares. Maybe entertainment comes into picture, but this is a server, by the way. Entertainment never comes into picture, correct? This is a server. So playing games, playing, okay, and things is not a part of your server, by the way. So let's not talk about that at all, right? So apart from that, so now when you have internet, you browse some web pages, you download some needed softwares, you install them, and things like that you will do, isn't it? It's as simple as that. Linux, also you're going to do the same thing. In that particular context, no internet or basically like, no internet. So what are the things that you generally do on your machine is basically the Linux basics way that I mentioned there. And we're going to learn something around that. And after that, there is some administrative topics. Okay, so if you want to administer your system, for an example, you want to install a software, you want to remove a software. Okay, so this is a server, by the way. We need to start some services, stop some services, things like that. So these will fall under, just categorization into administrative section is only for our comfort. Actually, we are running it. For an operating system, it doesn't really matter. Everything is same only. Everything is same only. So someone performing some operation, that's it. So it won't too much bother what you're doing. But for our comfort, we started categorizing them. And even that went to the categorization of, okay, so what that went to a categorization of Linux basics, Linux advanced, Linux intermediate. So it's all, so I, at least when I see it, I get laughed, by the way, how someone can categorize that, by the way, like, and what basis you can categorize. At least this is, I would say, like, requirement wise, I categorized, right? So something like, when you perform some, okay, action, okay, which needs some extra privileges, that I consider as an administration. And without non-extra privileges, I'm considering that as a Linux basics. So that is the criteria I'm considering as two criteria are, I'm distinguishing between these two topics as with some extra privileges, without some extra privileges, Linux basics and Linux admin. So I have some clear cut, by the way. So now if a topic is there, so how can we categorize? So first, some part of the topic as basic, some part of the topic as intermediate, some part of the topic is advanced. Maybe for me, the advanced is the basic one, right? Isn't it? So categorization is always difficult. I think that's where the people does the wrong categorization there. At least I fundamentally a bit against to that. That don't work, by the way. So there's no criteria to categorize, by the way. That's the problem. Okay, it's only their mind map. Okay, he or she, whoever has actually mentioning this is basic, that is basic. Whoever is mentioning that is advanced. But end of the day, it is not that way, is what I feel. So we'll consider everything as same only. Okay, so but privileges wise, you do without some extra privileges, it's all Linux basics. If you do some extra privileges, it is with administration. That's it. Let's keep it that way. In Windows also, you're a normal user, you can't install the software, right? So that is where it is being categorized here also. Okay. So that's where, so to start with, this is what is we're going to have, which is Linux basics. All right. So if I go here, so now what is the advantage of this killer coda is you're going to get on the right side, you're going to get the terminal, by the way, to practice on the left side. So you'll get a information to practice. So that's a beautiful beauty of this particular killer coda, by the way. So one. And maybe it is doing something, but don't bother about what is on the right hand side, what is happening. Let it do its job. You don't worry too much. All right. So that's where we're going to start with the Linux basics, and that to be with the killer coda. And ideally, you need to log in actually when you actually go here. So now if I mention, first you go to the killer coda and you try to log in, and you can log in with your Google account directly. You do a Google sign up. It's only to validate that you're a person or not you're a bot or kind of a thing. So they'll try to authenticate. So that's it. You get it. After that, you get onto our course. So we'll provide you this URL, don't worry. And even after the session, we'll start providing you this mind map also. You can start watching it even after the session. So one. And this is the URL. If I go inside this. Let me see. I'm just curious. Just got a bad thought in my mind. Can't I search my course? Because I never observed this option that you can search something. Or maybe in my course, what are the options I have chosen, whether I kept it as complete as private or something. I'm not sure. So that's where, let me just go and search for my course. It is coming. Okay. So you search for DevOps also, maybe it should be coming. Then, but DevOps is a generic word you get from many people then. Is going in a, okay, alphabetical order. L stands in some other place maybe. So learn DevOps, something like that. Not coming. Learn DevOps online. Not coming. Okay, it's coming with a username. I think it's better to change my URLs bit. Okay, that's okay. So here is a one. All right. So you can search here also is fine, right? You click on this and you go inside and you have two courses here. So basics and administration. So we wanted to go with the basics. And you'll get a 1 hour of time. You'll get this session for 1 hour, by the way. So that means after 1 hour, you have to refresh. Refresh the page and you get from starting again. But there's no harm, by the way. You're just practicing it. Here you can see this. You're getting for 60 minutes only, but don't bother about that. You're done with the 60 minutes. Again, refresh and get that. It's only for 1 or 2 days only. You don't again too much bother about this again. So after 2 days, we are anyhow getting onto the cloud, by the way. We'll get onto the cloud and we'll deal with that. So no much problem here. And yeah, so that's where, so we would be start learning the Linux basics commands here. Okay, now Linux is a command line operating system. Or before going to the Linux, any questions on this so far before proceeding? So I just took only one step just for a couple of days. I'll be going with killer coda. Okay. Yeah, any questions? Does anyone have before actually proceeding to the actual Linux things? Not able to hear you, Archana.
What is an operating system? Why are we using the only operating system?
I did not got it exactly. So you're saying you never heard about a word operating system?
Yeah.
If you are using Windows, that's an operating system, right? In your desktop. It's a OS.
Okay.
Hey, hi Raghu.
Yeah.
We have already a AWS account. Can we create again or not required?
No need. If you're already having it, you can ignore that. So yeah,
Okay.
forget to
Okay.
mention this point. So every one of you need to create a AWS account. If you already have one, please start using that only, to create another one. And again, don't get onto a mindset of, no, I'll get it for free and all. Our course is bigger. You'll not get anything for free there. Okay. So you hardly save the amount. And that's where you forget about that free mindset in Amazon. Our course is bigger. We go with a big project. And eventually it is there. And the cost also I was mentioning in yesterday's session that there is some $25 is expected to pay for every month from your pocket to Amazon to practice this. Maybe for the first 1 month, you might see less, but at least from second month, you'll start seeing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raghu. So I understood till the operating system. So in the operating system we used to reach the servers, but here after operating system, it's like cloud AWS and killer code. I did not get the concept here. So cloud is the server, like we are trying to reach. That's in the rack or whatever you told before.
Yes.
Okay, that's my question. So we are trying to reach the server, that's the AWS here.
Now we want a real machines, by the way, that you can get it from cloud. But every one of you is not ready with your cloud account. So that's where just 1 or 2 days we'll go with a killer coda. These guys also provide a server only to you, but on the browser they will provide for 60 minutes, and we're okay and learn for that. Use that actually. So that's where I'm going here.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
Hi, Raghu.
Yeah.
And yeah, my question is that can we say like virtual server is a partition of this rack servers?
Yes, you can say. And you are using that word
And
because you are coming from Unix world or something like that?
no, not actually. Even I am new to this course, new to these servers and
It's a
all
channel.
these things.
Yeah.
But what I can assume is that virtual server is a part of that rack servers,
Correct.
and is there any specific difference between virtual server and a rack server?
So that is a physical one ultimately, right? So physical server that it will be, and virtual server is a sub layer on top of that. Okay. Now, for an example, now you purchase a home. Let's talk about very general things only. You purchase an apartment, by the way, right?
Yeah, okay.
Now, okay, that apartment, whatever you bought it, are basically the outer boundaries is nothing but your rack machine, basically, right? Or rack. Now, inside that particular, so that maybe let's say that 2000 SFT, you'll start partitioning it, right? So the same word, whatever you are using, I'm using it. Now you partition some space and call it as a kitchen. You partition some space and you're calling it as a bedroom, right? Now you're partitioning it. And that partition is called as a virtual machine here, and use it for some specific purpose. Now I have one physical machine using it for one specific purpose. I am partitioning it and use it for specific different purposes. Okay, one virtual machine I'll use it for web server. One piece I'll use it for database server. Like that, you will get a flexibility of partitioning, and this partitioning will help you in effective usage of the resources. One thing, because usually these physical machines comes with a big hardware, by the way. Now you run a small application. Yesterday I was giving you some context that so the applications are moving from monolith to microservices. So small is very small applications. Now to host a very small application, we don't really require a very big server. Now that's where you start partitioning it. You get an effective usage of the resources, and that's why you go with a virtual machine. And there are some advantages of that as well. Maybe one day we'll talk about it at a section of when we talk about containers. We'll talk about the journey of the infra, by the way. So that time I'll try to explain. But yeah, there are differences. Operating system is nothing but the word, whatever you found as a partition, you imagine with your apartment, you're using a separate room for specific purpose and separate server for specific purposes.
Yeah, okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, Raghu.
Yeah.
This is a good course actually. So I'm not a beginner. I have already done a course on DevOps, but for some job purposes, I couldn't complete. I have just one small question that you are talking about AWS, right?
Uh-huh.
We have to pay like $20 to $30 per month.
Correct.
Can I use VirtualBox to do the same? My own machine.
You can't, right? How can you simulate all the cloud services in a virtual box?
like installing the softwares, because all of them are free, right? You are
No,
an
boss.
expert, so
No, I think I'm not sure what you were learning earlier, by the way. So you had to deal with many things, by the way. So, so this is my cloud account. Let me take you to a batch, by the way. So where you will see these many machines, by the way, right? Now these many machines, and this is only just a beginning, and even, so when I actually provision the infra, you'll get almost like, so 30, 35 machines, you'll get it, by the way, when we get onto a project. And that big infra, you can't actually simulate it in your virtual box.
okay.
Okay, you join for a different type of training, by the way, not a hello world application. So things will be very much different here.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So moving on. So now we are going to go with the understanding of some basics of Linux. Maybe the real Linux will start from tomorrow. Just I'll take some basics of Linux only today, or introduction to some sort of a Linux. Okay. Now I'll go to the here the courses, and I already went in. Yeah. So in the Linux basics course, and let me just start. So this is an introduction. That's okay. Now here is your command line syntaxes, by the way. Our Linux is a command line operating system. Windows, you might get a good graphical view, and where you always go and click, 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 you do the things. But here, Linux is a command line operating system by choice, by the way. It doesn't mean that, so Linux doesn't have UI. They have UI, but we don't use UIs, by the way. All right. So we always try to keep the softwares that runs on the server minimal, by the way. So when you want to install UI, you have to install so many softwares. Okay. Now you install any Windows operating system, then probably, okay, you get it, around at least 10 GB of your disk space has been consumed just for an operating system easily. Okay, 10 GB easily it is been consuming your Windows itself, by the way. You don't install any software, you just install the operating system on your laptop. You will see the 10 GB minimum it is using. Okay, so that big it is operating system, because it's all supporting the UI and all. It has to run so much software behind the scene. But whereas you go with the Linux operating system, you can start running the Linux from 10 MB, by the way. You can start writing the things from 10 MB itself. Okay, so that is how it is going to be difference, by the way. All right. So that's where command line is so much better way in servers, and command line is much faster in basically in accessing and managing, by the way. So because the servers are always sits in the remote locations like data center and all, you will not have a physical access to go there. It's always remote. It's a command line which is much faster, and you can access it much faster and do that, right? So there are many reasons why to choose the command line, and it's by choice. It is a command line. So Linux by choice on server, we always prefer to go with command line operating system. All right. So that is how we are going to. So that is how we are going to deal with. We are going to go with the command line, by the way. It's all going to be some commands. And so this is the prompt, by the way. So, and where you execute some command, you enter some command. So command is nothing but an input you are providing to the system, like, hey, I want to do this. I need this. You're telling to the system that you are commanding the system in a format of command, and it is giving the response. Right? So that is how it is actually going to be. And that's where you're going to learn when we say that you're learning Linux in this journey. Okay, you're going to learn in this journey, you're going to learn some commands, by the way. Okay. And again, knowing some commands, how do you call it as basic? How do you knowing some commands? How do you call intermediate? Knowing some other commands, how do you call it as advanced? By the way, there is no criteria. Okay, unless until you have some criteria, categorizing is very difficult there. Okay, so let's keep in your mindset that so when you have a requirement, you need to solve that particular requirement with some command, and you learn that particular command. And if you don't know that command also, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, when you start Linux, by the way, I'm telling you, the next 10 years also you'll continuously learn Linux only. Seriously. Okay, that vast that operating system is, and why do you need it, by the way, right? Windows also, how many of you know Windows 100%, by the way? I don't think so. Every one of you, whoever claim that I'm superb in Windows, I don't think so. Everyone, each and every option which is there in the operating system. And why do you need it, by the way, in the very first place? You use it whatever you need it. And if you're not aware, there's enough information available on the internet. Okay. And that internet is, accessible directly on your mobiles and all. You can, even in the, let's say in the company, the internet is not there. In the worst case, I don't see any company in 2024 not providing internet, but still you have mobiles with you. You can do something and fetch the information. Information is everywhere, right? So that is where I don't get onto a mindset. I think I'm just stressing this one because I always hear back, okay, from people saying that no, Linux is big. Yes, it is big. I'm not denying that. And how many commands we use day to day, by the way. And you don't waste the time like me spending too much time on Linux, by the way. Okay, so I spent a lot of now I want to use a word spent, by the way. Now I will say I wasted a lot of time in Linux, learning Linux. End of the day, I'm not getting a revenue today, right? When I say revenue, by the way, I'm just looking at the time I invested, the return on investment I'm actually looking in. Today, what I'm gaining is very, very less, by the way. Okay, because of Linux. Okay, so that time itself, I would have learned something else, by the way, would have given some better return on investment. So that's where look Linux in that context only. I'm stressing this. Okay, maybe you may not be comfortable, but trust me on this. Linux just considers an operating system, and you ask for something, okay, and it does the job. And you need to ask, by the way, as per your requirements. Okay, when the requirement is going something new, you always have an internet. So try to understand it, and you'll have some test machines. You will do practical on top of that, understand it, the behavior, and finally implement it. That's it. It has to be an evolution. Okay, so that means day by day you have to evolve on that. Not like so you can't actually prepare everything Linux in possible next 10 years also. It's highly impossible. Okay, so that's where don't get onto that mindset. So please come out of that. Linux, please look in as an operating system. Windows is as simple as, I'm not asking something new. You know Windows, but you don't know 100% of the Windows, right? I can bet anyone who will claim that he knows says that 100%, it's highly impossible. Okay, so that is where Linux also, let's keep that mindset only. Let's learn what all we needed. No compromise in that. Okay, what all we need, we'll learn that. That's for sure. But what is unneeded, why do you need to look into that direction? Let's not look into that, because you have great things to do later, by the way. So this is just the operating system. Okay, so I think most of you got the context. So now let's go here. It's just a command line operating system. You execute some command. So maybe I'm entering some, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Okay, I'm executed something. Okay, I'm getting some output. Executing something, I'm getting some output. So you execute some command. By reading the output, you will understand something. That is what you will do. Okay. All right. So that's about something to the introduction. So you'll be having a command line. Now this command line also tells something bit additional, by the way. So what is that is, so when you log in, into the system, here it tells you the username. So I actually colored it, by the way. You don't get these colors and all, but I'm a fan of modifying my Linux prompt usually. Okay, so I don't use black and whites, though it is a black and white, by the way. I'll try to make it little bit. If it is a black and white, I don't think so you will be able to catch the lot of output, by the way. Okay, so it's it's very difficult to catch which is where the command started and things like that. It's going to be a bit difficult, by the way. So that's where I always colorize my prompt so that whenever I go and like let's say, I just say, just don't worry about the commands what I'm doing. So now you see this. Now I have so much output, by the way. Now if I scroll up, I'll come to know it's all black and white. It's very difficult for me, okay, to learning to deal with that. Okay, for an example, I open another tab. So now this is black and white screen here. So now here, so so now here maybe I am having syslog enter. Now you see this. Now where is my prompt, by the way? So I go up, by the way. So where's my prompt? So here luckily some so some syntax is a little bit different. You're able to understand. So now maybe I will try to give some other message. Okay. So now let's say if I go with cloud in log. Now you see this, how I have so much output. Now you tell me where is my prompt, by the way, right? It's very difficult. Okay. So, and I can't blame Linux for this, by the way. So they're giving you an operating system which is customizable and we should customize it. And that's where I am a fan of customizing my prompts. You see this is even not even visible. Where is it also? Okay. So maybe it went away out of scroll buffer. It may went beyond that also, which is fine. But yeah, so try to understand so that what we, okay. So what we do here, it's very difficult to identify if it is in a black and white screen. Okay, easy, very difficult. Rather than that, if it is a color, by the way. So now even though you scroll up, you see somewhere the color, okay, here's the prompt. I'm just a fan of that. And I always do this. Wherever I go, if I configure a system, and I'm telling you, right? So Linux, okay, so I can do the, I know the pros and cons of many things, by the way. So that's where, I always try to set up the things, certain user friendly, make my machine little, more more readable way. Okay, my prompt especially. So that's where, so this color will come into picture. So only maybe around my training, you see this particular colors, but it's all customizable. Okay, you can just, if you are really interested about it, maybe after some time of after the training, at any point of time, you got a requirement to configure the servers and all. So now you think about how do you configure the, okay, so Linux prompt, by the way, you'll get enough documentation. How do you do that? Okay, it's not a big thing as well. Okay, you can always customize it. There are even tools, UIs, actually you can drag and drop also. I think Bash, some websites are there, so where they will Linux prompt generator, there are prompt generators actually. You can drag and drop also, you get it. Okay, so now these are all the different options which is possible. And now let's say if I give username, you're getting like this username. Now I want, like, let's say at the rate after that in between. Okay, so now I want to get some command number, basically command, so something like working directory. So like this, you can always generate the thing. So here they're providing, how do you do that? You simply take it and give it to the system. It will help you. Okay, not big deal. You'll understand this anyhow later sometime, by the way. But yeah, so these colors, you'll not get it by default. This is all the customization which I am providing by myself. Okay, to make your life easy. All right, so that is where it is. And yeah, so you execute the command and you're going to get the output. So that is how the Linux is actually going to behave. And what we're going to learn over here is a bunch of commands. So starting from tomorrow, we're going to learn some commands. And going further, by the way, and again, I'm giving a clear context, by the way. So we're not covering the every command which is in Linux, like every option in Windows. We will definitely cover what is needed, at least to bootstrap what all the things is needed. And going forward in middle, you'll find out some other commands, by the way. So that time I'll try to explain that command, what is this and all. We'll use it and we'll move on. Okay, there's no necessary need that you have to learn everything in the first week and then only you can do the things. We'll do the necessary things. We'll start our journey. and our journey is crossing with some other requirements, we'll learn that requirement and we'll move on. Okay. Now here I'm taking a principle again. Okay. So which we generally use in our life by a lot of people, and maybe in some of the English movies also, if you have really observed, by the way, this, I mean, so this particular approach generally been spoken as well. Okay. And in the software industry as well, by the way, in especially in the software development, so we'll follow this particular principle. And what is that principle? At least I believe, and I learned it in a hard way is, and I don't want you to go within a hard way, is basically is we will cross the bridge when we get there. Okay. So this is a simple thing that people so talk about as expressing that. So people expressing that, so we don't to really bother about everything, by the way. So this meaning that, so cross the bridge when we do it is not to worry about a possible problem until it actually happens. Okay. So I learned it in a bad way, like a hard way, I would say. Okay. So, but somehow after learning this particular one, there's a significant difference on approaching a problem, by the way. Okay. So that's where I would suggest you, I'll go with that particular principle. Okay. So when we're really crossing that particular option on our path, we will definitely do that. Okay. It has to cross at least. So that is where, so we are going to stick to certain, commands in the starting of the sessions. We'll start our journey. In our journey, in middle, we'll definitely get something more, need something more. We'll talk about that. We'll learn about that and we'll move on. Okay, that's the idea. And that's where some commands, bunch of commands you're going to learn. And this command line syntaxes, how does it look like is you're going to have a command, and command also will have some options, by the way. So providing these particular options, the behavior will change. The command, the behavior will change. So the options will be, you find out in a single character, single word, or sorry, hyphen single character, hyphen single word, or hyphen single word. Okay. So this is how it is. All right. And now for an example, I take the same uname. Okay. So uname, if I just give uname hyphen, so uname hyphen all, if I give, I'm getting something. Okay. So uname hyphen s I'm giving, I'm getting something. Okay. So I'm not sure. Okay. Now I don't remember the options also. Okay. So now I don't remember it. Seriously, uname is some command, whatever it is, by the way. I don't remember the options. Now what I will do is I will better go to the internet and find the options. Now at least you know the command. Okay. If you know the command, you don't know the command, also go to internet. That's also fine. You'll be able to find it out. Now uname, and I just give hyphen help. So this is a simple Google search you do, and you get a manual pages from internet. You also get it from the operating system, but I would suggest you to go to the internet only. Go to the internet, start getting onto the internet. Okay. So this is also one of the trick that you learn the things, by the way, better than, okay. So, I mean, in a better way, I would say. Why? Because when you always try to search the information which you already know, you'll always come to know about something you don't know. Okay. Maybe I'm thinking all the way that, so all the time that so this is this only. But if I go to the internet and I start searching for that information, I might get something more about what I'm doing it, by the way. And the same thing other people are doing in a better way. Okay. I'll come to know about it. Right. So that's where, even though you know the things, maybe sometimes I always, do the things, but if you know the things, still start searching the things, by the way, at least for some times, for some days, until you get the comfort. I mean, this is one of the trick thing I usually do. So, I mean, maybe commands and all is not applicable, but some of the concepts and all, even though I know it, by the way, I start searching from the internet and I'll come to know that how other people are actually doing it. Because that is very important, by the way. Whatever you are doing is right, may not be right all the time, may not be right, by the way. So there are people doing it in a better way. All right. So that's where Okay, so now if I want some option, maybe, so I was looking for -s option, by the way. Sorry. So something like this, you -s is giving this only, all right? So then P. I just wanted to tell you that you give the options, the things will change, by the way. Now every command may or may not have options. Now whether that command is having options or don't have options, go to the internet and you can find it out. But as a part of our journey, we'll talk about some options. As a part of our learning, we'll learn some options, not every option again. Okay, so that is how it is. And the next thing is maybe sometimes you need some input also. Let's say I want to add a user. I need to tell what username I want to add. I want to install a package software. I want to tell which software I need to install. So all these particular things, you require to provide some inputs also to the commands. Okay, so that's how the command input also will come into picture. So the command may or may not have options, may or may not have inputs, and that all depends upon the command you are using. Okay, now that command is actually coming from the requirement. Now, as long as you are clear with the requirement, your problem is very much solved. Okay, your solution is very small, by the way. So what you need to do is very small, and that also comes from so Einstein 1 hour to solve a problem. So this principle is there. So I mean, it is his quote only, by the way. So if he had an hour, okay, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem. Requirement. As long as you don't have a requirement, what you're executing is always a blank, by the way. You're blank only. Okay. Gain more requirement. Now I'm executing a command. Why I'm executing the command? That context, if you don't have, and if you're blindly executing the command, there is no use. And you're not learning, by the way. You have to be very, very conscious when you're actually dealing with the Linux operating system. I'm telling this because I'm also sometimes subconscious, and I've seen many people being subconsciously doing the things around Linux, blindly doing it. Okay, I don't want you to do that. So consciously, when you are actually executing a command, why are you doing that? What is your requirement? Why are you executing this command? Okay, all these things has to run through the thought process, and then you have to execute the command. Don't blindly get onto executing the command. Okay, so that's what it is, and that's all from my side for today as well. So just to conclude, by the way, so I ask every one of you to create a cloud account. How to create a cloud account, we'll tell you. So for a couple of days we're going to use Killer Coda. So the Killer Coda links this cloud, how to create a cloud account. I think in internet you'll find out, YouTube you'll find out good videos, or also it's a very simple sign up. You go with that, and it's fine. And you go with that and you create a cloud account. If you already have it, you don't bother about it. So simply use that. And if you're already exhausted with the free tier of 1 year of your AWS account also, it is fine, because the free is not going to be free. You hardly save $1, by the way, per month. Okay, not beyond that. And for that, actually, you know, to really go with, and for that, you really no need to go with, okay, wasting the time around signing up with the Amazon and all. Like that's not going to be, that too much useful option, I would say. Okay, so please have your AWS account. So we'll send you the videos how to create AWS account. Otherwise, it's a simple sign up. You are free to go and try on your own as well. The Killer Coda link I'll send you. Send you in the sense like the portals will be updated wherever you are joining the sessions. And the second thing is this Miro diagram also will be shared with you. Okay, so this URL will try to again keep in the links where you are using. And yeah, so that's all basically from my side for today. So any questions, please go ahead.
Yeah, Raghu, a couple of things, just wanted to get a clarification. So like we were discussing about Linux commands, right? So like I know like there are two sides of it. One is the day-to-day commands used for a day-to-day life of a engineer, and the other side, like in here, like we will go through those things during our course of these 3 months. And the other side is like interviews perspective. So like how extensive they will be looking into it, or
Like
they
I already
expect us?
mentioned, right?
Mm,
So
mm,
as long as if you say that you know this, you know that.
okay.
Interviewer, I mean, you go to an interview saying that I know this, then only he picked your resume,
Okay. Okay.
right? So that means you should be knowing it. Is as
Okay.
simple.
Okay, that means like whatever we are working on our day-to-day life, we expect that to be asked there, right?
Of course, right?
Okay.
You
No,
appear for
like
a
some,
DevOps interview and they'll not ask you about rocket science, right?
no, like there will
Ultimately.
be, there are some interviewers,
No, no,
right?
no. That is your mistake, right? So you are appearing for a wrong interview.
Okay.
First of all,
Okay.
you ask the recruiter that, hey, you're recruiting me. Okay, what is the role you're expecting from me?
Okay.
Okay,
Mm,
so
mm,
first you do that, by the way, right? So then let them get the context, by the way. So
okay.
let them give you the context, and if you feel you're suitable, you apply for that.
Okay.
Blindly going and so just applying the resume, you're not putting your brain. Recruiter is not putting your he or she brain, and you directly jump onto the interview. The problems will come eventually.
Mm, mm,
So yeah, do that, and I mean I don't think so, by the way. So when you say at least I will not do, I mean I will not do an interview.
yeah.
Someone says that I don't know,
Yeah.
stressing that on that, by the way, it doesn't make sense. If
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
really doesn't know, I'll not pick that resume in the very first place. If he mentioned that he knows that about that in the resume, that means I'm expecting that he kept that particular point consciously in the resume. That means he knows it, right? I'll ask from that only.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'm not able to hear you, Ranjit. You need to unmute and talk. Moving on.
Hello.
Yes, Suraj. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I think this question would be valid. So when we are practicing the Linux commands or whatever that you're teaching us for next 1 or 2 days, so we should be practicing that on this website that you gave us, the Killer Coda, or should we be practicing that in our own command prompt?
No, in the same killer code only.
All right. Okay. That was pretty much it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Here I go, Ashish here again. So again, this is off the topic, but if you can tell me the difference between the DevOps engineer and SRE, like where exactly the role differs and how similar
Yeah.
are both these? Thanks.
So in the bigger organization, so the role will cut into two pieces, by the way. So, and DevOps will ensure the software is releasing, and whereas SRE comes into a picture of ensure the app is running without any issues. So this is SRE role, and this is DevOps role.
So
In
we
the
won't
bigger
be,
organizations where you have a big platforms, like maybe a
correct.
Google, Facebook, like that. Right?
But
So
in
one
smaller,
person can't do everything.
but in
Huh.
smaller organization, the role would be like shared. DevOps will be doing the SRE jobs too, right? The
Correct.
second one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ideally, I'll not cut down my role. Okay. So
Correct.
that's where I always go with both the things, taking the responsibility of both the things. And ideally, yes, you're right, actually. Small versus big is a simple answer.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah, hi Raghu, Mahendra here. I just wanted to know exactly how we'll practice it, like while you are teaching us, same time we practice, or because day by day it is going to be some.
Correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, I missed to update this particular point also. So while the session is going on, your focus is only on watching the screen, by the way, gaining the context. It should look like a movie only. You should not have any logical gap with the things which I'm saying on the things which I'm presenting. You should not have any sort of logical gap, by the way. Okay. And you should not have a logical gap. And the next, okay, so if you have any logical gap, you raise your voice and you ask your question that, hey, I did not got this particular point and all. And after the session only, you go for a practice. You can't do two things at the same time. It will not work out. Okay. So that's where always after the training, okay, you start practicing, and maybe in an hour or 1.5 hours, you get the recording and go through the recording and you practice it.
Okay. So daily, how much time we should spend it? It's same person to person, but on an average, like how so
Depends.
that we'll get it.
Depends. I ask 16 hours if possible.
Okay.
I'll not take bonus on that.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Someone else also was asking some questions. I told at the ending I'll tell.
Will it be like STR situations or like more like definitions or how we use the tool? That's it. The projects.
I mean, you're asking how the training will go related to
Yeah.
the tools.
Yeah.
So everything is going to be practical only. I think yesterday I was showing, right? So there'll be a lot of code we'll be writing. It's all practical.
Mhm.
End to end is practical.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see a lot of code writing for different tools and different requirements. These are all different folders.
Yeah, can you hear me, Raghu?
Yeah.
All right, so I tried to access the killer coder, and it seems like it's is it a Ubuntu distribution or Radar? Because when I accessed it, it's kind of Ubuntu.
Yeah. So they provide Ubuntu. On top of that, I'm wrapping up with CentOS.
All right, so how can I switch to CentOS on the killer coder?
Right. Correct.
Hello?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I'm asking that how can I switch from Ubuntu to CentOS on killer coder?
You don't need to switch, by the way. If you open my session, automatically it will take you to CentOS from Ubuntu. You don't need to bother.
Okay. I mean, I'm not clear, but it's okay.
Yeah, so that's where I was telling, don't do the things while the sessions are going on in parallel. You'll miss the details, by the way. So, right. So that's where, I mean, here simple only, right? So you just click on Linux basics. So whatever when you click on it, so it is automatically going to, okay, so start pulling the CentOS thing for us. You don't need to do anything at all. If you open the codes itself, this itself is pulling some CentOS inside this. You don't have to bother about it. And you get the CentOS end of the day. Yeah. Yes, Pavitra. You need to unmute and talk, Pavitra.
Yeah, actually, this is Pavitra Narayan. Actually, do we have any manual documentation for this course? If you have manual documentation, we can go through more about it.
Yeah. So here I will always use tools, by the way. We'll go with the vendor documentation.
Okay.
And you're right. You can go to the vendor documentation and learn more.
To find this documentation in the link which you provided.
No, this is just the Linux, by the way. After Linux is all tools, by the way. Linux is a very small part of the training, right? So rest everything is tools, and every tool has their own official documentation, and we'll read that only in the training.
Okay. Like I'm asking about the interview purpose. Whenever recruiter asks something for that, right? Do we have any questions like that? Do we provide that at the end of the course? Or?
So that means if interviewer asks the same question in a different context, so then will you say that, no, it is not there in my book? No, right? What will you do there? Let's say I'm asking you the same question. Now, which the question is same, by the way, but asked in a different context. Then what do you do? fail in the
but
interview.
but I do not ask exact question, but at least we need something that
It's not a good,
would expect.
it's not a good practice. Okay. So a lot of people are actually failing in this market only. Okay, interview question market only, they're failing.
Yeah, but
We will
this
provide you something, but don't rely on that.
As a fresher, I need some more information about it.
So fresher means you can't say that I don't have brain, right? Like you or me having the same brain only, same neurons in the brain, right? So that doesn't mean that I'm super, you are not super, right? You may be better, by the way, than me. Why are you limiting yourself saying that, so going into that all-in-one mode of your college, by the way, that will not work out here. Unless until you're not ready to do the practice, I think you're in the wrong place. At least you don't get onto the DevOps engineer. So something else you can. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Morning, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I am Tushar. So, sir, I'm asking the question, sir, as a fresher in cloud section, sir, which profile has to move forward as a fresher in AWS section?
Now, this is a DevOps training. Ultimately, you move on to the DevOps only.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Hi, Raghu, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, Raghu. So basically, we already have our shell scripting in place, right? Because we are using Linux over here. So how does having Python, learning Python also give an added advantage on this? Because end of the day, both of the scripting, we use it only for scripting purposes, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So there are, Shell is not a global solution. That's what we need to understand. So these are all tools, right? I always tell this in a very funny manner. Like let's say you have a hardware utilities like screwdriver, maybe, right? Screwdriver is not a solution for everything.
Right.
Hammer is not a solution for everything. Now,
Right.
based on the requirement, you have to choose the tool. Here also it is like that. You understand more of the requirement and you choose the tool. Okay. So that's where Shell is not a solution for everything. Python is not a solution for everything.
Right. Got
So
it.
yeah, they're solving different problems here. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Cool. Any other questions? All right. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
And one more
Raghu?
thing. One second. So one more thing from my side is, see, we'll take care of most of the things related to the training. You don't have to bother about, so the content and all. At least if you have chosen to join my training, you don't have to bother about the content and all. I'll take care of that. The only expectation I'm expecting from you is your sincere time and practice, time and effort, by the way. Okay. So unless you duel with that, by the way, so unless you handshake with that particular thing, it's very difficult. Okay. So to make you successful as well, right? So I'll try to do my job at best, and I'm expecting the same from you as well. Please ensure you try to organize your next 6 months of time. Okay. So assuming to take 6 months to practice, do the practice and, gain the more knowledge as much as possible. So try to, adjust your lifestyle and everything for the next 6 months. And definitely you will see some difference, by the way, in the knowledge. And maybe if you are applying for some roles, by the way, at least you'll be ready for appearing them. Okay. That's my sincere request if you are actually planning to continue with the sessions, or if you don't have that time and effort, you can keep it. And I would suggest you are in a wrong place, by the way. So this is a vast training and you will get exhausted. You're not doing a 100-meter or 200-meter running race here. You're doing a marathon. Okay. So that means you should have a lot of energy, lot of strategies. Okay. So to reach our goal, by the way. So that's where please try to ensure, okay, you give me your time and effort, and I'll try to do my best from my side. So we both can do something better. All right. Someone saying something. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can you go to the previous slide, please? Not this one. The Killer Coda. Okay. Mm, all right. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Raghu, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so should I ask yesterday's topic or
Yeah. Yeah.
stick to
Yeah.
today's topic?
No. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, so yesterday we were talking about, before past developer used to develop and after that testing, that's
Right.
why and DevOps came into existence. And you are already in that and you are having past experience from the past few years. So if you see from now, how long do you think DevOps gonna sustain before it gets everything automated? How long do you see DevOps? So if I'm thinking like invest my full time on learning this at least like 6-7 months, like so is can you see the DevOps at least maybe like 5-10 years down the line, like it's gonna sustain this process or whatever the DevOps concept?
Yeah, I'll give you 2, 3 versions of the answer, by the way. So one thing, engineer is not new. Okay. So the process is new, right? So that is what is a requirement. And if you look into the general evolution also, maybe if I want to go from place 1 to place B, before, before something, a transportation has been invited, maybe I was walking. After that, maybe I was taking some animal source. And after that, I'm taking some machine source, right? The requirement is always same, by the way, moving from place 1 to place 2, right? So now the journey of engineer is also same thing. So he have been doing the job, on hosting the application and things like that. And these applications, he was doing in some ways, some other way. Now maybe you are hearing about DevOps, maybe something else might come into picture. So, but the requirement of hosting the application and maintaining the application will continue. Okay, that's no doubt in that. And so that is the first version. And the second version is I'm optimistic, by the way. So I definitely hope for good only. That's where, um, so that's where we try to do the things. And second thing is, it's also the risk that you take it, right? So it's basically like a stock market. So now if you know everything about that, you try to go and invest into that particular stock. Maybe after 20 years down the line, you see the result of that particular stock, isn't it? So here also you're investing your time, by the way, investing on that particular thing. You try to become, now you thoroughly understand it and you try to invest on that. Okay, so now taking the tips and tricks of my portfolio and you are copying your portfolio might not work for you. This is what we do in the stock market also, right? People copy the portfolios. Okay, so that's where you analyze. Basically, I would suggest you are in, since you have that particular question in your mind, came that thought in your mind, you analysis, you heartfully decide that, okay, yes, this is going to work for me, and do that because it works for me. If I say that, so next 10 years, yes, DevOps is good, maybe I sustain. How about you? You may not sustain, right? Right? Or maybe you sustain, I may not sustain. It can be any of the way, right? So that's where it has to be the decision that we make it, and we have to accept the outcome, by the way. Okay, so you spend your valid time rather than speaking with the persons like me, by the way. You understand better. After understanding only, you try to invest your time and money on that particular thing. Okay, that's my sincere suggestion on that. So rather than just going to
Yeah,
yes.
thanks for that. And I like your frankness. And one more thing, but when you see like me, coming from a different background, like getting into software, but like while the developers, if they develop, they would get, their friends like who get into the job who don't know anything. But for them, they would have at least like 1 or 2 days to develop or something, even that the tester would have time, connecting from abroad, who somebody will be helping up like a backup. But when I get starting seeing the videos and everything, I see that like DevOps is a thing like we need to deploy like at that time they need it. But in the beginning, how much I learned, like 4 or 5 months of training, I don't think like whatever I go into a company, it's very hard for me to deploy. It gets like 2-3 months of time. Do you think I can still sustain, like how I'll keep my 100% efforts here, but do you think in 3-4 months can I sustain like at least like 1.5 day time for a deployment or something, or it would be like when the development is done within like 1 2 hours should I push, like how it would be in the real case scenarios?
I think you're doing a mistake, by the way. So you are starting imagining the things which you are not aware. Okay. So that is where the problem is coming. You're trying to see in the dark and where there's no light, by the way. So that's where all these questions will come. And the light of knowledge will come into picture. You start seeing the objects out there, right? So you're seeing your road as well. Okay. So I think your perception towards the problem is wrong, by the way. At least I will not do that. If I don't imagine the unknown things. Okay. So I mean, the scenario, whatever you cooked may come into picture, may not come into picture also. There's no guarantee for that. It may be smooth, or it may be instead of 1.5 days, whatever you're talking about, it may take 10 days also. How can you tell right now?
Okay.
Yeah. That is, I understand your worry, by the way, but that should not be that way. So you have to brave enough to take the decisions and accept the outcomes, by the way. So that is how you, you will move on. Yeah. All right. Yes, Akila. Not able to hear you. All right. So thanks, everyone. See you tomorrow in the same link. Bye. Good day. Good night.